Recording should now be going. Welcome everybody to another Blender stream. Hopefully going to be finishing the model of E-105 Zeta. And something a little different today. My main point with this stream is not to function strictly as a Blender tutorial, but to help people who may be struggling with the program, since it does have a interesting learning curve to say the least. So, as I always say, if people during the stream have questions, I can try to answer them, whether that's in the voice chat with me or in my Twitch chat. But in this case, I had someone on Discord reach out to me with some questions, so let me switch that. So this comes from Noyalot on Discord, and they ask several questions, so I will try to address these one by one as best as I can. So they ask, when is it a good idea to go with smoothing? So let me switch back to Blender here. So to answer the question when it's best to go with smoothing, honestly, I use smoothing on every model I have. So we have what I recently, or what I had just made it up to in the last stream with this E-105 Zeta model. And every aspect of this model has smoothing on it, ignoring the scale cube down there, which I could probably just get rid of that. I don't think I need the scale cube. But if I were to, say, take the arms and have them shade flat, and it has this weird, like, well, like, you could see each individual, like, quad on the model, which isn't the look I'm going for. I want it to be smooth. And the same goes for the head, the body, the smokestacks. Basically, that's how I guess I get realism out of it. I cannot think of a situation where you would want to have shade flat enabled. Because, like, here, it just shows where all the quads are, which, when I render it, I don't want it to look like that. I'm not trying to show the geometry, because it, like I said, I'm trying to go for realism, and that's even more important if you're working with a human or a Mobian or an alien. You want that smooth look to, like, obviously smooth it out, make it look like something that you could maybe reach out and touch, I guess. I don't know, I'm doing a bad job of explaining that. And then an additional note I want to make is the auto smooth thing here, which I have applied on all of these meshes. When you are using smooth, that helps you have a blend of smooth, rounded edges like these legs have, and then harsh edges like these, which, as I explained last stream, I do with these, where you select the edge, Shift E, and then pull on it to tighten it or untighten it, I guess, to create creases. Auto smooth allows that to blend a lot more nicely than if I were to turn it off. You see that it has this really strange shaded, like weird shading to it because the normals are calculated differently. So auto smooth gets it the look I want, where things can be flat if they need to be flat, and smooth if they need to be smooth. So I hope that answers that question, so let me go back to my questions list. Is it a good idea to have references in the work so that you could shape the object into what it needs to be? Now, I hope I am understanding this question correctly, but, like, obviously I have reference images loaded into my Blender file here that are always present, and I'm always able to see them, and I can remove or add or, like, move them so I can see them. Like, for example, if I enable selectability on my references, and I can pull this one out so I can actually see it, and do the same thing with this one, and this one, and this one, so I can actually see them. Now, if you're learning how to get certain shapes, like within Blender itself, something that I used to do was take images, reference images of bodies of any kind, human, Mobian, whatever, and I would model to the curvature of that. That could be considered tracing. I'm not sure if that's strictly considered tracing, but I could, I guess, see how that would be the case. So I would suggest doing that to learn how to model, but once you get the feel for it, what I do is have something that shows me what the shapes should be, and I free model it until I get it to where I like it, which in my last stream, you all saw me, like, try to replicate the shape of this leg without necessarily, like, directly copying what the picture has. But yeah, as for references, you could load them into Blender like I did here, which is Shift-A, Image, Background, and then you select it from the pop-up. And that's just a great help to getting these shapes down, especially for something as complicated as this, and even something as, because like a human-like body can be really complicated too. It is very helpful to have references on hand to make sure you're getting things like proportions right, or having things line up where they need to be. So the fact that Blender lets you put them straight into your scene is very helpful, so yeah. Use references when you can. Now I have one more question from Noyalot. Is it a good idea to do the arms and legs separately or together with the body? Now, this isn't exactly a good example because in this case the arms are separate from the body, but that's just because I have separated them to save on memory in like my computer, so that when I'm editing the arms, I'm only editing the arms and not the rest of the body with them. But that really only works because this is a robot, and like these would be like separate pieces on a robot. For something like a flesh and blood character, I guess I could say that, you would probably want to have those arms and legs connected, although what I actually do, I might be able to demonstrate this quick if I just go away from the model for just a second. Sorry about that. Where is it? That's a good example. I will use Artemis for today. So hopefully you're all able to see that. Yes, you are. I'll hold her. I'll hide her rig. So if I disable all of her armor in the viewport, let me actually enable her body mesh. So this is the model I have for Artemis. Now, you may have noticed her body, everything except for her head is separate from her head. That's just a personal thing I do. Makes it a little easier for me to rig the head to the body, as how the hands are separate from the body. Hello, Kensako. Welcome to the stream. But to answer Noyalot's question about the arms and the legs, they are part of the mesh for a human character like Artemis here. The connection like that because, well, I want her arms. Oop, that is the wrong rotation mode. I want her arms to bend naturally as arms would. Same thing with her legs. And I am not the best at rigging this, so like you get weird deformation like that, but my goal is to have it look as close to realistic as possible. So to answer your question, keep the arms and legs on the body. The head does not necessarily have to be part of the body. That can be separate. So let's go back to Zeta. Don't save the changes. And like I said before answering all those questions, if anybody else has any further questions, I will gladly answer them. But Noyalot is not in the Twitch stream right now, I believe. And they're not in the Discord call right now. So hopefully when they watch me, the re-upload of this stream after I am done with this, that hopefully answers your questions. So let's get back to modeling Zeta. So how are you doing, Ken?
Oh, pretty good. Your model looks great.
Good, thank you. I'm going to turn down the music slightly, just to make sure my lovely viewers can hear you, and Prickly, if their mic ever goes unmuted, which is perfectly fine if they want to stay that way. So let's see, I think the last time I was working on this, I had just added these like spotlights that the Egg Genesis has. I'm not really liking the way they're looking. I might make these a separate mesh like the arms are. But first I want to do something. I was looking at this model and comparing it to my references off stream. I wasn't working on it, obviously. There have been no changes to this model since the last stream. But I remembered that I wanted to have the reference to the Dreamcast on the model, like the like Zeta did in Sonic Adventure with the Dreamcast on his mesh. So, since my body, I guess, is a little different from that one, I think I'm only going to have a Dreamcast on the front and a Dreamcast on the back, whereas these smokestacks will be taking up the space in this part. I might want to nudge those to be as close to center as possible. And I left a couple other notes for myself for when I started the stream again. I wanted to include more detail on this blank surface, since each of the exhaust pipes on Zeta itself have vents and these weird glowing bits, so some of this stuff I think I should reserve for textures, but for bigger blocks of detail like that, I think I will try to model them. And then the last note I left for myself is, because I watched the gameplay of the Egg Genesis fight in Sonic 06 at the end of the stream, but that was only the Sonic fight. I watched the silver version of the boss fight as well, and I was right, these are spotlights that spawn enemies when you like walk underneath them, but they're also like lasers that can hurt you if you get too close to the bottom. So I'm gonna try and deviate from the way they look in the game model, which is like the lasers literally just emanate from the center of these yellow discs. It looks kind of strange, so I'm gonna try and make it both a spotlight and like a gun, I guess. So let's see, nothing in the chat. So I think, like I said, I am going to get rid of these and make them a separate mesh to hopefully make it easier to work with. And like I said, I need to make these perfect spheres so that they look more like the ball joints I want them to be. One thing you'll know if you ever like start really getting into modeling stuff is that there will be a lot of moments of just pure tedium, but that's kind of part of the territory, and then your work does pay off, I will say. That feeling of finally getting the technical thing you were struggling with done is quite satisfying. It's one of my favorite parts about modeling, like so. Now I want to add more detail to these ball joints like arms. I think I'm just gonna keep it pretty simple. Have like a little extra nubbin thing right there. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay. I might need to turn my air conditioner up in the other room. It is getting too hot over here. But now, let's see, added a new cube to act as the base of the spotlight because it is pretty square. I don't think I want to do an array modifier, but I might give that a try actually. Let me do subsurf first, bump that up. Wait. That fan art you posted in the server, that's actually way too cute for what it is. You know what? I'm not the biggest fan of that like enemy's design, but I do like the way that person drew it.
I feel like they could use it so much better. Because like the design, I like the design itself. It looks intimidating. But I want it to like fight more.
Yeah.
I just want it to fight some.
Hello there.
Welcome back, Homabungus.
Yeah.
I am not super well versed in array modifiers, so this might not even work, but I'm gonna give it a try. No, that's not gonna work. Not doing the array modifier. I am gonna do this differently. Let me see. Yeah, because that doesn't work. Maybe deleting them wasn't... I mean, it's not going to fix the issue I was afraid I was going to have with the mesh or like the modeling process, because yeah, I am going to have to do this differently than I was expecting, but I think making it a separate mesh will be a better idea. Okay, let me no, not that. Hide that, so it's should just be no. Oh, that's the render one. I want the viewport one. Now I can get rid of these vertices. Alright, good luck with the classwork. Okay, duplicate. So, Kobo Bungus, how have you been since last stream?
I've been good.
Good. Sorry the upload for the last stream onto YouTube took so long. I've been having some weird Wi-Fi problems in my town.
Nah, it's fine.
Yeah, just...
Also, I'll say this really fast. I know you made that comment about how you were worried that there'd be ads on and you had to be more careful with the music choices.
There are ads on the video.
That's funny, because I never saw any when I rewatched it later.
It says says it may place ads, I guess, and if you look at in the description, it was the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. So,
right, but
apparently I wasn't playing it quiet enough to have it not get caught. I haven't seen ads running on the video either, but I was like told when I was uploading it, "Hey, we found music. There might be ads on your video."
Right. Okay. Well, if there are ads, I haven't seen any. So.
Okay. Not that big a deal, just need to make sure I'm like only playing royalty free or like Sonic music while I stream.
Yeah.
Let me see how good this looks. Oh, I forgot to do my what I call my critical step, the auto smooth.
Yeah.
Cause before you were here, I had collected some questions that someone had asked me on Discord about how to work in Blender, and I dedicated, I think, a good 10 minutes to answering them the best I could. They're not in the chat, I don't think they're watching the stream or in the VC, so... But, like, going forward, if people want to DM me questions on Discord or Twitter, I guess, like... Excuse me, I am open to that.
Alright.
Because I am not... Again, this isn't strictly a tutorial, but I will do my best to help people who want to learn how to use Blender, because it's one of my favorite softwares to work with, obviously, and I've been working with it for so long. I want to see people continue to have the joy in it like I do.
Yeah. I'll admit, what kind of helped me get back into Blender recently, I rediscovered this channel. Well, I say rediscovered, but I guess I found it, or I don't know. I ended up going back to this channel that I used to watch a little bit called Royal Skies LLC.
Uh-huh.
And the whole gist of it is just really fast, really simple tutorials in Blender for rigging, weight painting, texturing, anything you can think of.
Yep.
He's actually moving on to ZBrush now, so he'll start putting out tutorials on that. But yeah, he did a lot of Blender tutorials. He did some Unity tutorials when he was a game dev. Now he just wants to be a character designer.
Yep.
And all of his tutorials are really short. They're usually really short. They're like less than 10 minutes on average.
Yep.
Even less, like most of the time. It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? Royal Skies? That's what it is, right?
Royal Skies LLC.
Royal Skies LLC. That's one of the MVPs of quick getting into Blender like tutorials.
Oh yeah.
I love those tutorials.
Mm-hmm. And they actually helped me quite a bit too when it comes to like making things recently, because
I'll also
sometimes I'll
say
forget things and I need to remember how to do them.
All right, I need to delete this and start over. I will also say CG Matter is another one of those guys that does. They don't do it much anymore, but he used to make a ton of bite-sized Blender tutorials on how to do something stupid specific, and that was like, a great help of getting me used to Blender 3.0 and like the stuff before that, because I took a like pretty long break from Blender for a good while there, and like just recently got back into it. And his like videos on how to do, like I said, just kind of interestingly specific things were a great help for getting me to re-used to how all the keys work, what certain functions do. And he has like a great sense of humor in these videos too.
That sounds great.
One of my favorite videos from his is how to make a Blender texture shader that displays a fractal. Like, you don't ever really need to do that. It's just kind of a cool thing you can do in Blender. But he's like, I think he like even like fully admits like this is just kind of a for fun thing that you can just try. And it's probably not going to make sense if you're not a mathematician.
All right.
Yep. It's kind of cool, though. I think it's cool. He also has a really helpful video on how to make your final renders in cycles look more interesting using the compositor.
Okay.
You know, these aren't coming out exactly like I was expecting, but I think it might be a shape I can still use. Let me put that back to individual origins. I keep forgetting that Origins comes out this month.
Oh, it does. I didn't.
The
I didn't
26th.
I didn't. Oh.
Yep, they announced that in the Central, yes. I don't know if that was already common knowledge and I'm just dumb, but that caught me by surprise during the Sonic Central because I have the game pre-ordered.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even watch the Central, so I didn't know.
Mm-hmm. I fucking love how the Central started with they were like doubling the audio for who knows what reason, and it was like you couldn't hear what Izuka and the other guy were saying because the music from the beginning of the stream was like still playing, and then their own voices were talking over each other. They fixed that really quickly, thankfully, but that was like, what the fuck?
That's funny.
Yeah. And after the Central was over, I also went and watched the IGN like first, like hands-on first look review or whatever you want to call that. And that was interesting.
Frontiers. Yeah.
Although we do, I guess, have a basic plot synopsis for Frontiers now.
Alright. I need to go look at that, because
Yep.
I have heard both good and bad things about the preview so far.
Yep.
So I'll need to go see for myself.
Somebody on Twitter pointed out that this, like, IGN review reeks of damage control. And it totally does. Because he says, like, oh, this gameplay footage is from an early build, or like they're aware that the platforms and the grind rails pop in when you walk up to them, like.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's bad.
Yep.
Like, people complain about floating grind rails for whatever reason, but
well, it's because they are kind
it
of
sounds like it was
garish.
legit.
They don't look that good.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair, but at the same time, it's like it sounds like there were more pressing issues at the moment with Sonic Frontiers.
Yep. Also, we got it confirmed that the open world part is only like one section of the game. I guess as you're going through the open world, you'll also be finding things that are more like traditional Sonic levels to walk through, and that's how you get Chaos Emeralds. It didn't seem like they were bringing special stages back, which, I don't know, maybe that's a good thing, because it seems like when they try putting special stages in 3D Sonic games, they end up not being very good, like the Heroes one or the Lost World 3DS one.
I actually never seen those, but I do remember when I played through Sonic 1, I did kind of get frustrated at the special stages in that, because it's mostly just kind of random.
Sonic 1?
Like I know the yeah, Sonic 1.
I think
like,
the Sonic
I know
1
there's-
stages are the easiest.
I
funny.
guess they're not especially hard. It's just for me at least they were a little frustrating because it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can move Sonic left to right a little bit, but it didn't feel like it.
You can.
All I could do
It's
really
mostly
was
about the
bounce
jumping,
and,
though. You just got to get really good at jumping.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
I-
gotten
I-
all
I-
6
yeah.
Chaos Emeralds in Sonic 1, but I think the most I've ever gotten was 5.
Yeah. I've gotten all 6. In fact, just to challenge myself, I actually there's an option in Sonic Forever that ups the count from 6 to 7.
Yep.
And I did all of them, and I was able to unlock Super Sonic that way. But
Yep.
yeah, it was a little rough. I'll be honest, but
The
it wasn't.
mobile version of Sonic 1, and by extension the version that's going to be in Origins, does that as well. But I've heard that the
Yeah.
7th special stage in that version of Sonic 1 is so hard. It's like really only designed for people who have mastered the Sonic 1 special stages, so it's like a real bitch to get it.
Right.
But Origins does have the benefit that in Anniversary mode, and I think Story mode basically runs on Anniversary mode, the coins you collect by picking up rings can be spent and used to give you a chance to retry special stages if you fail them.
Okay.
I'm curious to see how that balance is, because I think the coins are also used to they're also used to unlock bonuses or like missions in mission mode and stuff in the museum, which they've stated that it's in the game, but they haven't really made it clear what it's going to be. I think people are setting their expectations for the museum mode too high.
Yeah.
I'd love to be wrong about that, but I don't think it's going to be anything we haven't already seen, especially if you're like really a Sonic fan who's already looked that shit up.
Yeah. Like, closest I can think of when I think of like a museum mode is just art, music, maybe trailers.
I think they're
like that.
saying it's supposed to have old development stuff, but since it's been pretty obvious for the longest time that they don't have most of that shit, I don't expect them to have anything that wasn't in like what am I thinking of? Sonic not Mega Mix, that's the fan game. It's Mega Collection or Mega Collection Plus that had like old concept art and shit in it.
Right.
The one thing that I know about that relates to like old Sonic stuff is that I think it was one of the earliest like working prototypes of Sonic 1, and everything about it was so drastically different from the final game that it's like crazy. There only exists, I think, 3 photographs taken of like TVs playing the game. Nobody at Sega can find the original files for that. So upsetting. Yeah, somebody lost it along the way, so...
Yeah, also, Silly Kid Boy just left. So...
Yeah. That's alright.
Yeah.
Okay, now... The model I have going right now, like I said, I was going to deviate from how it looks in 06 because these things shoot like lasers, so I wanted it to look like it does and not just be a spotlight, but this space up top is going to be a spotlight.
Yeah, I was actually gonna... Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Still trying to figure out how I want these like spotlights to look, but that gets the basic idea out. So they still have the massive spotlights, but you actually can see where the laser comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not the vertice I was trying to tighten there. I apologize to anyone who's a fan of this song, but I need to skip this. This is driving me crazy. I don't hate New Venture. I don't really care for that remix of it.
Really? Is it one of the?
It's from the Sonic Disco album or whatever they called that, where it's like a compilation of various Sonic musics all strung together in a admittedly very fun like way. You're supposed to like listen to it all at once.
Yeah.
But
Fun except for that
that
one,
version of New Venture was just driving me crazy.
Right.
It's like, no, never mind. I forgot what I was gonna fucking say.
New Venture bad on disco track. Burn it in a fire. Anyway.
No. It's not awful. It's just not what I want to listen to right now. Okay.
Right.
That's like the main front detail done.
Yeah.
The bulk of it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think once the main body is all detailed, I can get ready to start texturing this, so...
Oh, yeah. You looks like you're getting real close to, like, finished product. Looks great so far.
Now, same thing with the legs. I want there to be just, like, a tad more detail here, so...
I'm gonna be right back really quick.
Yep. Now this is my fucking jam right here. I'm gonna turn this up. Am I incredibly sad that Frontiers isn't going to have a soundtrack like this? Yes. Oh my god. I'm not thrilled with the music I've been hearing in the current, like, gameplay and trailers and shit. I get that it fits the open world thing, but, like, man, that music is boring. It just feels like the antithesis to Sonic, to be overly dramatic about it. The song's about to change, so I'm going to quick turn that music back down before I forget. Don't want it to drown out anybody in the voice chat. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Alright. And the problem with working on something that's a circle is I keep getting very disoriented. Pull this up since it is intersecting with the spotlight. That's pretty good. Like a security camera you don't want to fuck with. Alright. And I guess that could also be seen as like the spotlight that the other E-100 robots have on their chest. Maybe just one more bit of detail and I'll call the cameras done. Oh, I need to name the mesh so I know what it is. That's better. That'll all make sense later. And I don't know if I specified already, but that function I just used is a add-on for Blender. That's not a Blender default thing. Just a second, everybody. Alright. Let me... no, not that. Do it like this. Just look at the cameras here. I think those are good for now. I can maybe add a little more detail, but I think for now I'm gonna add the detail I said I wanted to, which is for these two here. I am going to try and recreate the Dreamcast that shows up on Zeta. So get rid of that hole, because I think I was maybe planning on putting a smaller exhaust pipe there originally, but I don't know, something tells me maybe I should try to put maybe 2 more exhaust pipes somewhere on this model, but I don't want it to be like too cluttered of a design. Anyway, so Dreamcast is pretty square, so I think make these bigger.
Back.
Alright. So I considered the camera's done for now, so now I'm gonna try and add the Dreamcast reference to the robot's body here as I get started on adding more detail to that. Now, let me just get rid of the arms for now. I might add more detail to these that sort of resembles how it's got whatever these are when the arms all fall off the boss fight, just so it's not whatever this is. But I'm not going to use just like an image of the Dreamcast because I want to model that like detail just ever so slightly.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Make that a little more square. Now let me switch my transform orientation to normal and flatten that. Now let's bump it up just a little bit. Tighten the edges so it's a nice square. And that doesn't intersect with its line of vision at all. I wonder what these would look like with a bevel. No, that doesn't help at all. Oh, I'm in normal still. Pull those in. Maybe rotate. There, that I think cleans up that look a little bit. Let me try. No, not like that. I thought I flattened this. I don't get why it's still got... Here, what if I flatten it like that and then rotate it? That should be better. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I just gotta tighten up these areas around the base so it looks better. Where did you come from? Huh, okay. Something tells me at some point here this is gonna be like as good as I can get it, and I just need to stop fucking with it.
Alright.
Need to not spend too much time on the pointless details that I'm sure most people won't even notice when I'm like getting this thing into like a render or whatever. Let me flatten this one more time. And make it more square. That'll be the... Actually, lower that just a little bit so it's not sticking up as far. There we go. Oh, come on, man. Every time I think I'm done, I'm like, oh, the back's not perfect yet. Okay, that's it. No more messing with that. Let's just put the Dreamcast face on there. Now I'm gonna quick just pull up a picture of it. I'm not gonna put it into my Blender file, but I just want to quick be able to see what a Dreamcast looks like. Alright, so, and then see how it's oriented on Zeta. Alright, so it's oriented like if this was the front of the Dreamcast. So let's get that major circle in there first. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Don't start doing that now. Okay. Please flatten this properly. Okay. Now I think the circle should be a little bigger than that. That's why it's doing that. That makes more sense. And then I'm gonna raise that up a little bit so you can see it. Let me think here. No, that's not gonna work. I think this as it is might be all I'll be able to model for now. Let me bump that up a little more. The rest I might have to do with textures. Or maybe can at least get the look of the two buttons on the front of the Dreamcast set with a couple of these. Like that. That might be a good little bit of extra detail there. Looks like a hatch.
Does, yeah.
Uh-huh. You know what? I just realized I have this space here. I could maybe put that something similar on. Let me actually just see if I can do... Maybe just literally just copy and paste this. And move it down here. Oh, nope. Need to be on median point, not individual. And just make it look like there's another Dreamcast on this thing. Yeah. I think that'll work. And I could even copy that over to the other side too, since that's a blank space. Set my pivot to 3D cursor and rotate. Oh, my cursor's not in the center. That's why it's not working. You gotta, not that one. Shift N. Where'd my tooltips go? Why does that keep disappearing? Yes, screencast keys. Man, I had that off most of the time. Kind of defeats the purpose.
Oh, no.
That's fine.
Aw, I didn't even notice that.
There we go. I fixed it.
Yay!
Now we have the, like, Dreamcast motif going throughout the whole thing. Okay. I'm gonna hide the arms again. I think I have an idea of where to include more smokestacks that I'll have to experiment with. But for now, try to add maybe some detailing here like this. Oh, I need to grab more faces and then be able to do that. Circle. Nope. It's not the best, but it's not terrible either. Let me try. That might tidy it up a little bit. Still make it look at least somewhat spherical or cylindrical. Maybe actually having it being almost square-like at the bottom could be a nice effect. That adds a bit more detail. This blank space in the middle, kind of want it to be like that, but obviously I can't have the cannons going out of the sides like that.
Yeah.
Now let me hide the cameras, and then in the mesh itself, let me try hiding all this. So I can see it a little better. Let me start by doing this, just to give me more geometry to work with. Turn clipping back on. Now do it. And for anybody wondering why I am enabling and disabling clipping in my mirror modifier, that is because when clipping is on, now this is an interesting example since I have a mesh that's mirrored on 2 axes, but when clipping is on, vertices that meet where the mirror begins and ends will stay together. There'll be one vertice, but if I turn clipping off, I can split it and it'll mirror as a separate vertice. So for bits of the geometry where I want it to just continue, clipping is important, but when I was trying to break these apart, because the vertices I was going to be pulling from were at the edges of the mirror, I had to disable clipping so that I could pull them in and away and then seal it back up again. So enabling it and disabling it allows you to create geometry where and when you need it. Keep forgetting I should be explaining stuff because that's like the whole reason I'm like doing this.
Yeah, but I think you did a pretty good explanation of.
Yeah, it's just I've been going a long time of just straight modeling because I'm like really in the zone right now, but that's like not entertaining unless people are just super captivated by me just on my modeling grind, which I'm flattered if you are, but I cannot imagine that's the most entertaining thing in the world. clipping off and then do it. Sometimes I forget my own advice. Okay, see how that looks. I think that can work. There we go. Now, I pulled them in too far. So now, maybe more like that, and then pull them back up. Actually, I'm doing this all wrong. Cursor to... shit. Wait, no, that's not gonna work either. Oh yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, never mind. I thought I had a clever idea, but... the thing with the 3D cursor, and what I'm doing is Shift S to change where the cursor is with cursor to selected, but... because I'm in a mirror modifier, technically only this much of the mesh I'm working on exists, so it's only putting the cursor between those two sets, so that's why that's not working. I was hoping that it would go straight in the center of all of them, so I don't have to keep doing this and then pulling the mesh back up.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I need to make these a little taller. Oop. Not on that, like that. Okay, this is probably not going to work, but I need to experiment some. Nope, not that edge. Let me see how this looks. And it doesn't. That's not going to fix it. Ooh, there we go. That's a little better. I think that's a nice bit of detail right there. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, I'm trying to decide, because I'm trying to look for places where it's like blank and whether or not it's a good idea to model detail or texture detail. I think on the bottom here I can at least do something like this. Just so it's not so flat.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little better. Maybe... and then on the inside do the same thing. Now I'm just gonna do my sit and think for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let me go back into object mode and unhide everything. Need to take everything into consideration of how it looks in the whole picture, of course. You know what? These are bugging me. I'm gonna need to fix them quick.
Alright. But I'm actually gonna go ahead and off for now.
All right.
I've got to go do the thing. But
You're fine.
Good luck with the rest of the model. It looks great so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll see you later.
Yep. All right. So let me check. It's just me for now, so Might go silent for a little bit here while I keep working on this, but I'll need to be bouncing back and forth between my chat to make sure I'm catching these chats as they come in, which I haven't missed anything yet, so that's good. But yeah, it's like I was saying, like lack of detail might be a good thing for these parts where it's crammed around a bunch of other things. Don't want this design to be too busy. I think I don't need to add anything more to the body. The textures should bring out any detail from the blank spaces. So I think I'm going to go on to the smokestacks, which, as I was looking at this reference, I realized they have this bit here, so I'm going to try and add that right now. And there we go. I can take the, could do the same thing I did for this down here to create the bolts. I don't get why they twist like that. I guess it's just how the add-on works. There we go. Now it looks a little more like this. Let me look at this again. So all the smokestacks on Zeta point down, but I don't think with the way I have this designed I'm going to be able to do that. I'm probably just going to keep them there like that, and these are probably going to be the only two smokestacks on the model, but let me look again at the reference and try to get the vents and the lights going in here like I said I was going to. So we'll see how this goes. Might have to rethink how I'm going to go about doing this, because I want it to be as round as possible. Let me try getting the lights first. I think that'll be easier. Oh, I had those edges too. Don't want those to be creased. Select those again and uncrease them. That's better. Okay, that works. That works. Okay, got the lights on there. Alright, oh, the vents were like that. I was modeling the wrong thing before. I think that'll work. Oh, should maybe crease this all the way. Oh, missed one edge. That's even better. Alright. And then pull this out. No, don't do that. Pull this forward. All right. Well, Well, when push comes to shove, I can model more stuff later if I need to. I addressed everything that I thought I was missing from last stream. And I think I have everything I need. Let me turn the eye caps back on. I think this bad boy is ready for some textures. So let me see here. Alright, well, save that a couple times. You can never be too sure. Everything is named appropriately. One of my refs isn't in the refs folder. And I need to rename those to be the smokestacks. I didn't do that last time. And I think I am just going to leave it at these two for the smokestacks. Any more, I think, would be too busy. Or actually, let me texture them first, and then I'll see if I can add more. But let's go to the shading workspace, where our lovely model is all finished. Now, something I like to do is, well, first of all, in the shading workspace, I have an image viewer right here, which is there by default. I am going to hide the file viewer. I don't need that. All I need is, what is this called? My outliner, my properties tab, the shader tab, obviously, the viewport so I can see, and an image viewer, because with the image viewer I can load in textures. Now, I believe I have already downloaded this. I swear I did. Give me just a moment. I'm looking through files right now. Nope, not there. Okay, I must have saved it here. I already have a model of what I'm guessing is Zeta Mark I, my own take on it. I haven't rendered it yet because I just honestly haven't had any ideas for it, but when getting reference material for that, I downloaded a model rip of it off of Modeler's Resource, which gives me some but not all of the colors I need. I might go back there and download more of those later, but let me start by creating our first texture, which I think is going to be the purple, since that's the most common color on Zeta. So just name it something like that. Use this, hold E while over it, and pick a color. And there we go. Let me turn my... Okay, I guess screencast keys doesn't work in the shader editor. Alright. Well, we have this, which I am going to take this icon here, click and drag, and put it on the legs. And then click and drag and put it on the cameras. And then let me check here. Yep, click and drag and put it on the smokestacks. I am not putting it on the head because Zeta's head does not have any purple on it. Alright. So, I'll start by working on this purple texture since it's the biggest one we'll have here. I don't have to zoom in to look at where it is on the model. Turn metallic all the way up because it is a metal robot. Already that looks pretty nice. Just to get a sense of what that looks like. Now I could adjust the roughness, make him shiny, make him dull, but put that back at default. What I like to do for something like this is to drive all of these different properties with a texture. Now I won't be using this, nor will I be using any image because I prefer to work in a procedural workflow. I am going to bring in a noise texture. I have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled, so if I do Control-T while having the noise texture selected, it'll pull up a mapping node and a coordinate node, which just tells Blender how to spread this generated texture onto the surface. Now, we aren't seeing anything change because I haven't applied it to anything on this yet. I'm going to keep everything as default. I'm not going to UV map this since it's going to be broadly applied to the whole model, but I think I might want to actually use this to drive the metallic nature of the surface, and already we have a slightly different look. I am going to bump up the roughness and then bring up the detail, and now you probably can't see this, but it just creates a fine grain over the entire surface I have this applied to. Now if I do Control A to add a new node, I am going to drop in a color ramp node. Give that a moment to load. And immediately that didn't do anything, but this is controlling the color of the output coming out of this, and that color is driving how metallic the surface appears. So if I do this, the black makes it less metallic, the white makes it more metallic. If I bring them too close together, you basically can't see the detail I am trying to create. So since white is more metallic, I am going to drive this up just a little bit more. Now, that does create variance in this texture. Some parts will be more metallic looking than others, just so that it doesn't look super flat. And I might adjust these later because I'm going to have this noise texture driving pretty much everything here. Move this out of the way, and I'm going to Control or Shift D to duplicate, bring that down, factor into factor, and then color into roughness. Now, just like how the color of the noise texture was going to drive the difference in how metallic the surface is, this is going to drive how shiny parts of the surface are. And I think the color is going to be an inverse of how it was for metallic, because roughness this way is shiny, roughness this way is, well, not shiny, opposite of shiny, very rough. Whereas this way was not metallic, this way was metallic. So instead of shifting everything white, we want to turn that down. And right away you can see that, well, hopefully you can see that. I don't know how good the resolution is, but if I zoom in as close as I reasonably can, there is a detail there. There is noise, basically, and I feel like that decently replicates the way metal looks. Now, one last thing I'm going to add, again, Shift A, is a bump node. Plug the normal into the normal of our principled BSDF that was created when I made this texture. Now I added it, but that's not going to immediately do anything. Pull this back some. Plug the factor into the height of the bump node. Give it a moment to load. Please don't crash. And you can see that that is immediately creating way more detail. The problem is that with the way the default of the bump node is, the strength is all the way up as high as it can go. As I bring that down, the strength of this bumpiness gets shallower and shallower, and if I set it to 0, it's off. I don't want it to be off, obviously, so I am going to just give it a little bit of bump. Now if we zoom back in, it has some effect on the way it appears to cast shadows. The bump node is not directly controlling the shape of the geometry. It is just giving the illusion that it does. And for fine detail, like you would see if you were to look right up close on a piece of metal, I feel like that is appropriate. Now, let me see. I might want to adjust this shade of purple some. Let me pick a darker color from the texture. The thing with the metalness is that it reflects light differently, so the color is going to appear differently. I might even manually change this until it looks the way I want it, but I'm not sure. Let me do this a little earlier than I had intended. In the shader editor, we were in the object mode by default. This lets you edit textures that are applied to objects, but if I select this and go to world, we have 2 shaders, and these are controlling the way our world looks when we go into, come on, rendered mode. Now I need to make sure I have some settings set. Alright, I do. Back to this one. So, right now, the only thing controlling the world, or like the shading of the world, is this node, which, if I slide up, you'll see it envelops our model in the color that I pick here, and that could be anything I want it to be, but I am going to leave that at default because, just like in texture mode, you can add nodes to this. And one node that is really important for this is the sky texture. Plug that into there, and now we have something that resembles, I guess, a realistic sky. I'm going to set the sun's height to be not directly above, maybe like 75 degrees, and set this so that it is facing its side. Now, let me turn the sun intensity down. No. Well, if I zoom into here, this will roughly be what it will look like if I were to render it, and it's probably very hard to see, and I have denoising on so that it's as close to as possible to what it's going to look like in the final render, but obviously the whole thing will not be purple like this, but I just wanted to see how the purple looked in rendered mode. Alright, now what color should I do next? I think we're gonna do the off-white parts. So make a new texture, Zeta, oh, select it, Zeta, metal, white. Go back to my object one, and we have a brand new texture, but since I have detail in this texture I want to preserve, go back to that, hit this arrow, copy material, go to the new one, paste material. Now I am going to change this to be basically white. Now we have a new texture, but I haven't given Blender instructions on where to put it. So let me hide the arms for now while I get some of the textures that will apply to them later working. Oop, never unhid all that. Now I need to go into edit mode and select the things that I want this texture to be applied to. Like that. Holding L on things that I want to select all of, in this case the little spheres. Make sure I'm not missing anything, and come around here and do basically the same thing. Come on, you can do it. Oh, it's on the seam of the mirror. You can't select loops from the vertices that make the seam of the mirror. I'm not sure why. Make sure the whole spheres are selected. Select that. Select that. And I think I'm going to make this part be the off-white as well. Oh, wrong spot. That's why I wasn't going. And assign it. And now I can see the texture I have created, and I can see places where I forgot to select geometry. Assign again. Because that's like a darker silver, so I won't make a texture for there just yet. But we have this, and now I can start changing how I want this to look. Now, in this image here, it does seem like this section is like shinier than the purple stuff is, or like more polished. So I think the first thing I will do is take our already pretty gentle bump map and even make it even gentler. I'm holding down shift to scroll through this slider slower, and already we have a bit of a difference there. I think turn the saturation off. There was getting a bit of orange in there, making it look weird. Now what? Make it more shiny, maybe? Maybe if I turn the detail or the roughness on the noise down. No. Makes it look strange. No, those are gonna stay as they were. Maybe reduce the scale, make it bigger. Doesn't seem like it's changing much. Right click, reset to default. That was not 0 before. I guess I will undo to that point. Alright, it was 5. I might play around with that more later. But the last, I think, major bit of color I will work on right now is the black parts. So, Zeta, metal, black. Since I still have the copied material saved from before, I will paste it into this one. And I don't want to make it completely black. I might have a hint of purple in there. And since this is a color that I do want on the head, I will apply it there as well. Might make that just a little more black, but not too black. There we go. Now, I'm going to first hide the cameras, and I think I am going to want the texture applied on this section. Not these parts, they'll have their own texture later. Now we got that, and I think the metallic and roughness sliders are already set pretty much where I want them. What else should I make black? I will make the intersection of these hinges be black. Did I get it all? Apply it. Alright. Now, for something like this, where I already have a texture applied to it, I want to add the black to it as well, but if I do this, the whole thing becomes black. But I do want to keep the purple. So let me check here. Oh, I don't want black on there. Wait. No, yeah, I don't want black on there. I'll explain that later. Let me go back to the body. We'll just have our bare metal texture next. So Zeta, metal, bare. I don't know if I spelled that right, but whatever. Same as before, paste the material. Now, saturation down, but I don't want it to be as bright as this is, so I am going to tone that down. Now, I want this to be what these will be textured as, so we'll give them to those at first. Okay. I think that's distinct enough from the white as it appears in my reference image, so that's good. I think I want it to be less shiny, because metal, like unpolished metal, isn't very shiny. I think that'll be just enough right there. And while we're on here, I do want these parts to be this color. Okay, and there's that one extra bit that I am struggling to select. There we go. And then get the rest of it. And apply that. Alright. Let me think here. Oh, the Dreamcast buttons are gray while the rest of it is white, so maybe I will apply the darker color to those so they stand out a little bit more. I think since this area is supposed to be maybe shrouded in shadow, I will make that black so that it doesn't look like it's just like exposed, and I think maybe this area I will make the bare metal. No, I'll leave that as the white metal. Oh, and the center area here, I want it to be bare metal as well. If I do vertices, that should select everything that I couldn't get with faces. Yep, got that detail in there. Let me see. Oh, and I was going to explain how to add a separate material to something when you can't just click and drag it. You need to give Blender an idea of where you want that texture to be. So I have created a slot for a texture to go, but I will not create one by hitting this button. Instead, I will go to my mesh, select what I want this texture to be applied to, like so, assign it, and it's a blank texture. There's no it's blank. There's no texture there. I will go back to where this is and apply the bare metal texture. When I first started like really modeling complicated things, every separate section of my model had its own separate set of textures, but really it is easier to try and reduce the amount of separate textures you have. That way when you modify one, it'll apply to the rest of them. Okay, so what else on this needs... Okay, this part needs to be the bare metal texture as well as the pipe on the bottom. Those will be bare metal. And this part here, to me, in the image looks more like the white metal texture than the bare metal. So I want to select everything but the bolts, which I'm doing with the edge select tool again, to bring the texture in, leave it as a blank, as an empty texture, assign it, select where I want to drag it from, and then I'll zoom in because where you leave when you unclick the drag is important. There we go, and it looks like I missed the bottom of this. Nope, that's just weird shadows. But just to bring more detail in there, you know, I could have actually brought the black texture in there just so, for the same reason as what we did down there, it doesn't look like it just stops. It's supposed to look like you can't quite see in there. Alright. Oh, I should have done that up here too. The bolts on this, on the rest of this, excuse me, the bolts on the rest of this need to be a metal color too, so I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but I haven't figured it out yet, so what I'm doing may not be the most efficient way of something like this, but it's the way that I guess, understand. Which edge you select when doing edge selection is important. You need to think of where the edge would reasonably flow to when picking which one of these to select. And that already is looking a lot better. I think for these vents, they will be their own separate texture, so I will leave that for now. But this does show me that we are missing another actual shade. or color to bring in, so I am going to make a new texture, move it up here with this button, because I like to organize things by actual colors on like the spectrum or whatever, and then shades, and then like utilitarian textures, I guess. I should still have the purple one, I do. And in this case, I'm going to try using E for the eyedropper and just pulling it from my reference, which probably won't look the best, but we'll give it a try. And now I'm thinking that because there is this yellow band on this model, I should probably... You know what? I did say I could always model something after, or work on modeling after I've started on texturing, and in this case I think it might be a good place to try and bring in a little more detail. And I want to, oh, I forgot to name it. Zeta, oh, caps lock is on. Zeta, metal, yellow. Then select, oh, face select this edge. Oops, and come on. There we go, and that edge, and make that yellow. Just for a little bit more detail. I might make this a little thicker so it's easier to see. And I need the texture on the smokestacks on these, so I will select everything I want to have the texture. And then down here and do the same thing. Damn it, come on. Okay, make sure I don't get the bolts, which because I am in face select mode, that shouldn't be an issue. I should have all of that selected. Leave the slot open. Oops. Did that wrong. Delete that. Make a new one. Don't make a new texture. And assign. Back here. And put it there. Now, I think this I might want it to be less metallic. So bring that down to black, bring that with it, but keep it kind of shiny, and that's more of the look I want. And we now have another texture that I will be wanting to apply to this. Make sure that should be everything I want. Get rid of that stuff. That should be all of it. New texture, assign, drag and drop. And now it's looking even more like a E-100 robot. Okay, the only other thing I could think to create right now is going to be the green glowing parts, so I will name that Zeta glowing green. Now there's a number of ways I could create this like glowing effect, but well, let's get it somewhere on the model first so we can see it. And that should be everywhere on this mesh that I want something to glow. Let me go back to my image here. Now, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to keep it as a principled BSDF because that gives me roughness options and illumination options. Okay, that's not a good spot to pick the color. Let me go in between. Now I can hover over the color, hit Control C, I'm sorry, go to my emission color and hit Control V. Now these areas are emitting light, but I want them to look like they're emitting it through glass almost, so I will make them appear shiny. Actually, I think I'm gonna do a little bit more modeling here by making these white and then insetting these so that they look like bulbs instead of just being big chunks of glowing material. I think that looks better. I think to even further the glassy look, I'm going to go to transmission, turn that... Oh, I am on the wrong material. Give me just a moment while Blender thinks. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Undo that. Save. I haven't done that in a little bit. Actually select the glowing material. Let me bring that up all the way. And then maybe greenify that a little better. But yeah, bring up the transmission all the way, and then transmission roughness to make it look like foggy glass. Now, you can't see that in the material editor, but I will go to rendered mode again. And we'll see if I can get this to show up, but it should look like tinted glass that is glowing because of something underneath it, and I think that looks pretty good. Now, these parts on the smokestacks need it, so select them. And if you have just faces like this as you need to select, it's easier to go into face select, select the edges around them, select vertices, and then it will select all the faces. I will, whoop, new one, assign, drag, and drop. Now they have detail. Alright. Now, as for basic necessities from these textures, I think I have everything I need to really get going now. So let me bring cameras back in and we'll start applying textures to those. I'm going to select these coverings because I want those to stay purple. And I'm going to, once they are all selected, hide them in the edit mode so I can select everything except for them and start applying textures to that. So that should be the entire camera shroud. Let's just make the whole thing assign. Let's make them all black since the majority of this will be black. And I am realizing I never corrected these barrels the way I did on the other side, so I am gonna do that real quick. And that should be straight enough that it doesn't look like they're pointing all weird. And then, yep, they're not aligned like that, so 0. Oh, wrong way. Did that very wrong. SX0. Scale X0. Scale X0. That's better. Alright, back to texturing. Now I need to think what else needs to be added to these. I think I'll do the white metal just for the area around the camera. So I'll select that and then do the same on this one over here. New, assign, and then grab metal white from this and put it there. And then the rest of this I think is going to be the bare metal that I created earlier. Except of course leaving the insides of these barrels black so they look deeper than they are. Maybe we get everything except these things on the edges here. I might make that a different texture later, we'll see. Get the barrels. Whoops. Okay. Assign. Go back here. Bare metal. Oop, come on. Drag and drop. Alright. Oh, I could maybe make this back here bare metal as well. Bare metal sign. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Now I need to think some more. Maybe these in the front will be the white instead of the bare metal. Kitty, get off! Get off! Get off! Off! Man, I thought that cat was taking a nap. Instead, they're climbing on things they shouldn't. Anyway, maybe... I don't want to make the camera lens just be the same as the green glowing parts, because that would imply they're all cameras. And even on Genesis themselves, it's the same as the color as the dome on the bottom, which I do need to figure out what that's going to be. So since I just realized I need to make that, I will make a new one for the main body. Zeta glowing, what color will this be? I guess white probably makes sense instead of yellow. To make it more spot-like, maybe it'll be, I'll just make it light, name it light. Now take this, copy material, paste material, since these will be fairly similar. Take this up, desaturate, but I might want it to be a hair bluish. We'll see how that looks. Apply it to this. Oh, I forgot to change the emission color. That is very basic, but I can think of a way I will add detail in just a moment. Let me add it to these too. Oh, yep, it's not on this. Create, assign, go back here, drag and drop. Now we have those, which I can take a look at rendered mode again. They are glowing very bright. You can barely see them. But yeah. Let me give these some more detail, since I don't know if we'll be able to see it here. I don't think it shows in these images, but I am pretty sure that there was some sort of textured detail on these bits in the Egg Genesis model. So, vector bump, normal into normal. Now this time we're not using noise. I'm going to see if I can bring in something that'll make this work. To make it easier to see, I'm going to set emission to 0. Now texture, let me see. Let me try Voronoi, which creates this once it shows up. Well, it's too small to see. Let me bring up the scale. Creates this interesting, almost scale-like texture, but I think if I set this to... Don't ask me what any of these things do. I do not know. That makes it look a little different. That's too crystalline, though. That's not what I'm looking for. So I think that will have to go. Let's try checker, maybe a brick texture, which does about what you expect, but I'm going to be doing something different here with it now. So this is what a brick texture looks like, although I am applying it as a bump map. So the darker areas are what's raised, the lighter areas are what's not, which you could probably see here. I'm going to leave the strength at this all the way at 1 so I can see what I'm doing. Make sure these are both all white. Turn the offset off. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Let me see. Make the row height the same as the brick height. So they should appear square, but they don't. Oop, don't know what that did. Truth be told, I'm still learning what a lot of these nodes actually do, so things might not translate super well as I am still trying to figure out what these things exactly do, but I think this is more what I'm looking for, and that does not look the best on these lenses, but it does look decent on this one. How does it look if I turn the emission back up? And you can't even see it. Interesting. Maybe just have it be half emissive. Now let me see if I can... What if I set it to normal coordinates? Changes how it's going to lay it out on the mesh. Still looks strange. I might have to start UV unwrapping for this to look the way I want it to, which is... You know what? Perfectly fine. Let me hide that up there. I'm going to go to UV. And we're going to start UV unwrapping some. So, to the UV editing window, put that in material mode. We'll start with this. Now I am going to, first of all, I am in orthographic mode with numpad 5, control numpad 7 to look at the bottom. I'm going to center that on my screen as good as I can, the U key, and I'm going to do project from view. Now because of the mirror modifier, it is only creating a map for the one section, but that means it should apply to all of them. And I am starting to think that UV unwrapping this isn't going to work, because it creates these problems, and I am not the best at UV unwrapping. I'm sure it would look better if I turned the modifier off, but I want to leave that on longer. So maybe UV unwrapping isn't the way to go. Oh, that would be my mail. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about that. It's just, stuff loves to sneak up on you, doesn't it? Anyways, to address the issue of why the texture on these bulbs looks like this, I think if I just change the scale until it looks more like that, that might be a decent workaround. I might try to find a fix for the way that looks later, but now we have the camera lenses. Now I'm trying to think what else needs to be worked on at this time. I think I should start probably applying some materials to the arms. So let me see here. So this little hexagon is going to be the first to get a new texture. Get the whole thing. Not that button, that button. Assign. Gonna drag and drop the metal white onto that. For each of the missile pods, I think I'm going to make them all be a solid black, because that's how they look on Egg Genesis. Go through, select hopefully every vertex. I shouldn't be missing any in this, selecting them this way. But when I apply the texture, we will know for sure. Okay, that should be all of them. That one is missing one. Now it's all of them. And that one's missing one. And that one's missing one. Okay, the insides of these were not got in the selection. Apparently I didn't have that camera angle just right. That, and that, and that. Now it should be all of them. Yeah, I was only missing that right there. There we go. Now I'll take the black metal and put that on these. And I think while the openings for these like missile shooters are the same color as the arm, I think at least for the area around the missiles I want that to be the bare metal texture, just so that they aren't blending into the model as much. Okay, and get the bare metal texture, put that right there. Okay, let's see. Can apply the bare metal texture to these bolt meshes I created on the arms. That is the wrong loop. Get the correct one. Come on. Like that. Bare metal. Now those stand out a bit more, and I think this shield is going to get the yellow texture on the outside. On the inside, I think I'm going to give it the glowing texture. Come on. That's right, I gave it multiple layers, so I could probably get even a little more detailed with it, but let's see how it looks with the, with the yellow. I think that'll work. Now let's get these inner parts. Those will be bare metal. No, I'll make those black. And then the outer layer here, get the whole thing, and then I'll bring in the glowing texture for that. I should have zoomed into that better. Yeah, that didn't work. Zoom into it so I can see where I'm placing the texture, and there it goes. That, I think, will work. Does anything else on the outside need texturing? I don't think so. So, I am going to start working on the insides, where I believe these things, since they do glow on the original Egg Genesis model. Give me just a second. I think since there is a blue section on the back of most E-100 robot heads that is like glowing, and I did model a space for that to go, I might make the texture here and then bring it over to the head. So Zeta glowing blue. Excuse me. Assign. Copy. Paste. Let me just see how that looks with the green quick. I think that's gonna look a little better being blue. Now let me see. Maybe this version doesn't have that, but I want it to have that. So let me get a blue. That's pretty good. Let's get it on the back of the head. New assign, and then grab it from the legs. Put it right there. One test I want to do quick now that I have all this glowing stuff is to go back to rendered mode, but turn the sky texture off so I can see how it illuminates itself. And that's looking pretty good. Of course, the eyes will be glowing here soon. I'm just going to work on the rest of the arms here. Back into material and back to object. This area, let me see. I guess that really was just purple on the original one. I might take some of these edge bits here and at least make them a different color so that it's not as purple. And then this part here, give that a black one to start. Accent it with some, let me first actually, body, cameras, eyes, head, smokestacks, and then turn this off so I can just work on one leg here and not have to worry about not being able to see stuff. Back to textures, bare metal, make this the, just a second. Okay, get this bit here, select the whole thing. I think that one is going to be white metal, and let me sort this some so it matches the body just at least a little bit. I think I actually want, oh, I forgot to get this one too, get that as bare metal. I think I want there to be a glowing bit in the center of each of these, so I will inset that, extrude in. Oh, I didn't, come on. Really? I selected both of them. Inset, extrude in, and then these faces will have the green. Here, I'm gonna hide this quick. Make this whole section here. Come on. Be metallic. Oh, get that. Don't want that. Could probably get the rest of that here in a second, but I want to get that started. Then I will hide the stuff that is obviously in my way. Keep this going up like so. And then get that, and that, and then that, and that. And that should be the entirety of what I want to have with the bare metal texture. And then these, I think I'll make them the white metal texture. Okay. This, I think, will be black. If I can unhide all that stuff. Make this whole section here bare metal, but then make inner parts of it be black. This outer section will be white. Get all of this, make that bare metal. Make this part here on both sides white. Let me check my Twitch chat quick. Hey, Cry Mooney. Sorry I didn't see that chat right away. Thank you very much. And thank you for coming. Alright, I'll make everything except the bolt at the end of this black. Keep it from all being just a solid chunk of color. Oh, I was gonna model these to look like the little drones. I could still do that because I have all the textures I need already in place. Make that all black. I didn't miss any of it. Alright, let me start bringing back in the rest of it. Get a sense of what the whole thing looks like. Maybe make this part. Make that bare metal. Yeah. It still needs some detail work on the outside, that's for sure, but already seeing some improvement here, I think. And I'm thinking I'm gonna want to end the stream here pretty soon, honestly. But I think before we finish, let me add some details so that Zeta here has a face. Glowing red. And then it's just gonna be these two, like this. Paste. Red and red. And then the eyes are going to be their own separate texture that's only really going to be used here, I think. So Zeta green, or no, glass green. These will not have any emission to them. I am going to again pull the texture from my reference, or pull the color from my reference here. And then I am going to switch to rendered mode, so hopefully this can be more visible. Transmission roughness, no. I am going to need to put some actual textures behind these so that we'll actually be able to see them. Let's make this one and this one blue. Actually, I think those will just be... Let's make those the same texture as the spotlights. Assign. Yep, and then this one will be blue. This one will be the blue one. Okay, alright. And then I will use this option to deselect the things that already have textures. And I don't think I have the bare metal texture applied to the head yet, so I'm going to grab that quick. Now they're metallic. Let me look at the Genesis reference here. Those pipes are still black, so they are going to stay black here for this one. Maybe make this the bare metal, but leave the inner part black. I think that'll work. And then I think, let me see how these look when I make them yellow. If not, I'll make them something else. I think that might work. Let me bring the eyes back in. And that, I think, is better. I'll bring the sunlight back in soon, but I want to bump that up maybe. Bring the roughness down. Maybe. Alright, let me go to world mode and turn the sunlight back on. Yeah, I think that's doing pretty much what I wanted it to, so that's pretty nice. They're not so bright that they're like overbearing, but you can still tell that there are like lenses behind the glass, which you can only see when it's rendered, unfortunately, but that's just how Blender works. I think I'm gonna make these the bare metal, just so you can see a bit more of that detail. The rest I will leave black. Oh, and then these are bolts on the head that I need to make the bare metal as well. Alright, I think I will texture something to go in the middle of that head there that resembles the egg Genesis, but I'll go back to my modeling space, set that to material mode, and I think that's gonna be it for today's stream. Thank you again, Crymooney. Much appreciated. The little details are honestly what I think I spend the most amount of time on with these things. But yeah, this I think is gonna be it for
This is great. Oh my
progress. Oh, when did you get here? I didn't hear the join button.
Ago.
Okay.
A few seconds ago.
Okay, I didn't hear you connect. That's funny. Alright, well, this I think is all the progress I am going to make for today. Let me center my
This looks
pivot.
really fucking good. Oh my gosh.
I'll put it in rendered mode here quick so we could appreciate how all this stuff glows. Spin that around in 2 frames per second. Put that in material mode before my computer explodes. So not quite done with the texturing like I was hoping to today, but I think I made some decent progress from where it was before. I'm gonna let it sit like that.
Yeah, it looks really fucking good.
That is gonna be it for today's stream, I think. So, yes, LeMail. All right, hell yeah. Well, that's gonna be it for today's stream. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be streaming. When I'm going to be streaming again, either tomorrow or Friday, depending on what's going on in my life. So we will see in that regard. But hopefully after this 3rd stream, that'll be enough to finish this model. So, because this is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to. But yeah, thank you all again for coming. Thank you to everybody who's followed me today and yesterday. I need to figure out how to put a notification up for that so that people can see it. Alright, goodbye, Cry. And with that, I say goodbye to everybody else. Thank you so much for coming again. Thank you for listening to me ramble, honestly. And, yeah, y'all have a great day.